to help minimize or negate or eliminate that negative impact from short-term rentals. And then at the end, you're going to have the opportunity to express your opinion on those solutions. So we're going to gather your input to assist council and staff in prioritizing solutions. The other thing I'd like to make clear today, we're not making any concrete decisions today. This is an information gathering session so that we understand the city's priorities and preferences. Okay, so how are we going to gather this input? So we have bags of dots up here, and as we go around the room today, we're going to describe potential solutions to some of these problems. So what I'm requesting residents do is that, first of all, you're going to have one red dot, one green dot, 3 blue dots, and 3 yellow dots. So your red dot is going to go next to the solution that you just think is a terrible idea. There is no way that this could ever benefit the city of Jamaica Beach. Your green dot is going to go next to the solution that you think would, cure world hunger. So you think it's just the best thing that you've ever seen. And then you have 3 blue dots to just identify those 3 things that you really think could drive the needle in the direction you want. And your yellow dots are those that, no, I'm not really strongly in favor of that. So you all get 8 votes, and don't give your dots away. They're your dots and your opinion. If you don't want to vote, just put them in your pocket and keep on going. Okay, so what's our desired outcome from today? We'd like a common understanding of the benefits and challenges of short-term rentals. We all have different viewpoints, but we can all have a common understanding. And then we want to identify potential solutions. So help provide some concrete, actionable things that council and the city can do to help improve and make Jamaica Beach our beautiful place. So if you look at this, we have 2 very extremes on what solutions might entail, from all the way to eliminate all STRs, right? We don't want any of them, to leave it exactly as is, right? Now, clearly eliminating all STRs, if we were to try to pull that trigger today, in case law, that's not been supported. So this is not really an option. Leave as is. From all of the comments, Facebook complaints, feedback I get from individuals, leaving it as is to regulate itself and maybe balance out in the next 10 years, I also get the feel that that's not a very good option. So, we're looking for something in the middle that helps us achieve the right balance of benefits and management. So what are the ground rules for today? Yes. Okay, we're gonna take a 2-minute pause. Trying to locate it.
bought something?
That's why I put her here.
All right, I think we're just about through the chairs. There'll be a little bit of background noise as they close the door. First of all, ground rules for today. Remember, we're all neighbors. We're all in this together. Let's please maintain civility. Respect your neighbor's viewpoint. And speak when acknowledged. So we're going to raise hands as we go around, and we'll call you out. And be patient. We'll attempt to get everybody's input. And then also, I'd appreciate it if you keep your input concise. I don't need long stories about a personal situation you had, be it with whoever. We really just need to drive issues and solutions. All right, so as we're all very aware, it's why we're here. Jamaica Beach has always been a preferred destination on Galveston Island. As a young girl, it's where we always came. And then historically, we have shared our homes with friends, relatives, and paying guests. But short-term rental platforms and COVID have changed the nature of this sharing. It's more now a business. Okay, so let's look at some time frames. From the current STRs, as of December 31st, we have 324 registered and non-registered STRs. As of Friday, I believe we're closer to 355 as people have been coming in and paying attention to the new focus and getting registered. So out of those 324 registered and unregistered STRs, you can see the numbers. So the majority of the purchases from the homes that are currently renting. Oh, thank you for joining us, Woody. I appreciate it. This is Alderman Sherwood Green.
I'm sorry I was helping with the chair.
Thank you very much. You can see that why we're here, because in the last 2 or 3 years, the city has not stayed on top of this rapid growth and impact to our community. And also you can see that as of July 27th, 2021, this was provided from an open records request at the time. The city had 146 short-term rentals that were paying hotel tax. So we've gone from 146 to 355 in 2.5 years. So the other thing to remember, and I realize not everybody understands this, but the state is very prescriptive on what we can and can't spend our hotel motel tax on. So I know that short-term rentals provide revenue to the city. We spend about 3/4 of that currently, but currently we predict we're only collecting about half of the taxes for various reasons. We haven't had good systems and processes. Renters seem to know that, and they don't pay everything they should, and we don't have processes to do that. Our trolling tool indicates that we are under collecting by about half. So out of the $625,000 we collected last year, that number probably should have been doubled. We've also found huge gaps in our own system where money we think is going where it shouldn't be going. So you can only spend money to put more heads in beds. We don't have convention centers, We don't have areas to encourage a hotel motel district. We can only spend money on things that promote more tourism in our neighborhood.
And beach security.
And we have a special provision to spend our hotel motel tax on beach cleanup.
HB 1459.
Yes, thank you, HB 1459. Okay, so this is just a little data point. Our projected revenue when we're tracking and managing hotel occupancy tax, the average projected total revenue, and this is actually low, when we go look at the numbers, really our average kind of well-managed short-term rental brings anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 a year in revenue to that individual. So this $40,000 is somewhat low. We charge 9%. So you can see that if we had 150 units, we would more than cover all of our allowed legal expenses that we spend our hotel motel tax on today. Okay, so short-term rental impacts. What are some of the benefits of them? They provide revenue to the city, $625,000 last year. Out of that, we spent last year's budget. We spent $460,000 of that hotel motel tax. So we had encumbered funds. We have $2.1 million in encumbered hot tax money. Thank goodness for right now, we moved it into interest-bearing accounts, and it is earning us some revenue, but a lot of money we can't spend. So guests bring an energy and level of enthusiasm to the city. You've got a nice family across the canal from you, the kids are having fun. It brings that energy. We also have many of our visitors fall in love with our community and their future homeowners. So it's kind of a way to advertise our city and the greatness of it. We've all seen an increase in property value. So that's a benefit overall if you're looking at selling your home. The short-term rental properties, they're typically well maintained and many of them have been refurbished. They have provided some vitality and improvement to the overall look at the neighborhood. Provides additional clientele to local businesses. And having rentals in our community does allow us a place to house our guests in the event we want to have a lot of family down. They don't have to drive down to Sea Isle to stay. They can stay next door. Okay, what are some of the challenges? These challenges are also captured around the room where we're going to brainstorm solutions. Also have an opportunity for residents to add to this challenge list if we'd like. This is from a large input in what we've listened to in our comments and everything received via email and from the community. So a benefit to them is higher property values. A negative is all of us are experiencing the tax increases and the tax bills due to those higher property values. It requires a lot of city staff to manage. So it also stresses our police force, our fire. Short-term rentals are not without a cost to city oversight and management. It stresses our infrastructure, our water, our sewer, our roads. You can, the condition of our sewer lines, because all the residents typically won't pour bacon grease down the sink. A short-term renter, hey, it's the easiest way to get rid of it. And then we, as we've been having to investigate our sewer lines more, there's a lot of grease plugs in them that we have to deal with and clean out on a routine basis. Also, our lift stations are just full of all kinds of stuff. And the amount of energy we have to go into constantly cleaning our lift pumps is, it's time consuming. We end up with a lot more garbage and trash. We passed a new trash ordinance to help address that. But I know we've all seen a golf cart driving down the road or a car parked at the park. And if you're here not routinely, you don't understand what the wind does. So you're driving along and the wind blows things out of your golf cart. And, usually a lot of people just keep on driving down the road. And then it ends up with us having to pick it up. Parking, all of us know what it's like to have a full house next to us. and hard to get our boat trailers in and out and move up and down the street. The noise, even though it's shrieks of laughter and fun, it's still with us all the time. So and then lots of times very loud noise. Additional challenges, if you're a full-time resident here, never knowing if you're going to have a pleasant experience or an unpleasant experience during the week or the coming weekend, it creates a stress. Then disrespectful behavior. Unfortunately, civility seems to be not a common practice these days across the world. And so with short-term rentals coming in, I know every one of us has experienced some type of a negative encounter with someone staying in a short-term rental. We can experience with our neighbors too. I mean, our full-time residents and part-time residents are not completely immune to being disrespectful at times. Trespassing and theft. I know of a couple times where it's usually young kids who think it'll be fun to borrow something from a neighbor's yard, be it a fishing pole or
Or a golf cart.
or a golf cart. Yes. Frequency of parties, right? We know we're here because Jamaica Beach is a great place to live. We all like hanging out, having a good time, fishing, telling stories. That's why we're here. But the frequency of parties at a short-term rental, they are here to just vacation, have fun, and it ends up being a party constantly. Residents often have to intervene to ensure safety of the guest. You're not going to call the cop. They're doing something stupid because they don't know better. They don't live here. They've not cut their foot jumping off the deck into the canal and had to go to the ER. They don't know that our houses go up like tinderbox, which unfortunately we've experienced recently. So they've got grills out on the deck. They've got fire pits under our 8-foot houses and embers blowing in the wind because they don't understand the wind yet. I know we've all experienced this if you live on the canal. I used to have to routinely pick lures out of my deck, my boat. They're learning. They're not experienced fishermen and they're having fun. Unattended fishing pole lines in the waterways, it's a danger to our swimmers, our wildlife. And I don't know how many of you have had to pull fishing lines out of your lower units. And then guests are just unaware of overall canal safety. They don't understand that when a boat comes down the canal, that boat you can't stop on a dime, and it's not exactly the easiest thing to turn. So we don't always see the fishing lines out, even if they're not unattended, but they don't realize that they need to keep that lure and that line out of the boater's way. So the other thing is, I know a lot of the residents, they don't really want to call the police. Because if you need to call the police on someone, they might not be demonstrating the most respectful behavior. And many of our residents have been impacted by being yelled at, cussed out, just because they're trying to maintain a certain level of quiet and enjoyment of their property. And then also just your general safety. I know that, it used to be I'd go to the beach, I'd hop in my golf cart and go. Now I look to see who's renting around me and what the flavor and character appear to be of those people, and I decide what I'm going to put up and lock up before I tool down to the beach for an hour or tool over to my neighbor's house to sit on the deck and enjoy a cocktail. Okay, so what are a few of the other cities doing? Galveston, they actually have what's called an R0 residential zoning. If you live in an R0 area in Galveston and you petition your neighbors, you can define what that area is. You can go to their Planning and Zoning Commission and request a ban, not retroactively, just moving forward on more STRs in your area. So they have the ability to do that section by section if they're a residentially zoned area. Tiki has actually banned any more STRs. There was a lawsuit. Tiki's actually gone through 2 lawsuits. I believe it was in 2007. The HOA attempted a ban. And The STR renters that were in place filed a lawsuit and won, and they were allowed to continue renting. Then again, in late 2010, I think it was 17 or 18, maybe 19, Tiki again put forward a total ban on short-term rentals. A total ban, forward and backwards. And there were 3 plaintiff groups. The first plaintiff group was that original group from 2007, and they felt they were protected under the previous lawsuit, and they won. They were allowed to keep renting their home. Existing STRs in Tiki filed a lawsuit and said, you know, we're renting here, we bought here, renting here, and they won. The other group of plaintiffs were homeowners who didn't want to ban and wanted the right to rent in the future. And Tiki won the right to ban any more moving forward. So that lawsuit was upheld. So case law says that the city, if a moratorium is decided upon, the city case law supports that. Bayou Vista, they've banned any more moving forward. They did it with deed restrictions, but they also have a very tight enforcement on the ones that are still there. Freeport has put in very strict occupancy limits. They maximize, you can never have more than 12 people at a short-term rental at any point in time, and the presence of more than 12 people, as identified by any city employee, is a probable cause for counting on the property and issuing a citation. In Kemah has also implemented a lot more restrictions. One of theirs that's very interesting is they say if you have more than your allowed occupancy on the property between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and you're serving alcohol, you must have an off-duty police officer on site also. So just some of the things they're doing. Omega Bay, through deed restrictions, they also limited it. So the flavor around our area is more control and oversight of short-term renters to maintain the integrity of the neighborhoods. Okay, looking at our deed restrictions. Many people have accomplished this objective through deed restrictions. Our deed restrictions are very challenging. I don't know if any of you have taken the time and needed to fall asleep and attempted to read them. But we have 32 sections. Some sections have as many as like 15 homes in them. So to change those, it requires notarized signatures. Most of them it's just a majority, but some of them it's even a higher percentage than that.
75%.
Yeah, a lot of them are 75% of the homeowners on a notarized agreement. And if we attempted to do that, the city would be very chopped up. This section would have it, this section wouldn't, and it's also very challenging. But and also from a lawsuit, currently in an active lawsuit at our next door neighbor in Pirates, one of the sections there has banned STRs in their section. And a few STRs that were operating there filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit was recently, the judge ruled that they could ban retroactively to make that short-term renter, he can rent, but over 28 days at a time. So that's currently an appeal, but the basis for that, when you read the judgment, is that the deed restrictions were written so that it indicated that they were very changeable in the future. So when you purchased a home there, the summary judgment was that the purchaser who intended to short-term rent it was aware that those deed restrictions could be changed at any time, and they accepted that by purchasing a house there. That one is under appeal. So changing deed restrictions, ours weren't written to be ultra-changeable. So don't know that that's even an option. But it's something that a lot of people have recommended. You know, well, we can just do it through deed restrictions. I don't think we'd be very successful. Okay, so what's our current focus? We are collecting identified back taxes due. So if you're waiting on a permit, we are trying to figure out, did Airbnb actually submit your payments erroneously to Galveston? Are they holding them in escrow? Or have you not paid your taxes? So we're working on that. And then we're getting ready to issue citations to owners who have not been registered. So watch your certified mail, please. We're also going to be tracking advertised occupancy and enforcing our new ordinance. We're encouraging citizens to call the police if there is an issue with any house. If we don't have data, then we can't really help manage those problem houses. We want to develop and communicate an online tool to submit STR concerns. Galveston has this. And we're also reaching out to Galveston to see if we can buy into their 24-hour hotline system. And then we've also recently hired a code enforcement employee. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually going to open it up if council has any further input or comments. Gil, anything else you'd like to add? Russell, any comments?
Just here to listen.
Okay, Taz?
I agree with Russell. I agree with Russell. We are at a point that we need to listen to you. And we need to hear the positive things, the negative things. We need to hear from everybody. So that's why we're here. We're really glad the place is full. Thanks for coming.
Woody? Okay. Alderman Welch?
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, it's really great to see all of you here today. I can't express my appreciation enough for you taking time out of your weekend and spending it with us. I'm speaking as a resident who's lived here 24 years, and I've seen the fabric of our neighborhoods change drastically. And what my fear is, and it may not be real, but my fear is that we'll lose the fabric that has attracted so many folks to live here if this continues on the trend that it is. Mayor Bauer posted the numbers. We have more new STRs in the last 3 years than we did in all the time before put together. I mean, we need to do something. And I'd like to make a little clarification on, I hear a lot of property owners claiming that it's unconstitutional to regulate their homes. Once you rent that home, it ceases to become a home. It becomes a business, and it is then subject to the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, which states that government entities have a right to enact reasonable, and I put the emphasis on reasonable, and we have to define what that is, reasonable regulation upon commerce.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Kendall, right? At this point,
I'd like to say something.
yes, sir. Okay, also, I'm gonna, we really don't have a lot of mic. You're gonna have to speak really loudly. And if everybody would please try to just be as quiet as possible to your speaking.
Walk up there.
Two things I don't want to do. Now, I don't want to sound like a martyr, and I don't want to offend short-term rentals. I'm part of a short-term rental, so I know a bit. Anyway, I go for a 3+ mile walk every day, every morning, from Anchor Way north to East Base Highway and West Highway. The thing I'm concerned is that the people who own these homes, they seldom come down. They rely on their lawnmower people to take care of the yard, but they don't do it very well. The other thing is, okay, we have the new deal about the trash. I don't know how the people aren't getting the message, because they're not following it. It's really a pain to, I clean up all the trash, the fronds and the frond pieces and all that. But it really gets old.
Thank you. Okay, the process at this point is we are going to, I'm going to back up a minute, and we are going to see, did anybody have any other challenges or issues that we haven't captured? So at this point, we'd like to open it up to expand our challenge list for which we need to find solutions. So I'll put it on the top page. That's benefits. Okay. So these are the challenges we've captured from listening to our residents, to our citizens. Do we have any other? Yes.
Yes, I would like for you to revoke the registrations to any STR owner that is homesteaded. It's illegal, it's against the law, and they're cheating on their taxes, and it should be revoked.
Thank you. Also, so you know.
I didn't hear what she had to say other than.
Okay, I'll start repeating what people's comments are. We had a suggestion that we make sure that homesteads that are also rentals, that we work with the appraisal district to make sure that those are understood, and if indeed they are illegal, which most of the reading indicates it's most likely illegal, that those are addressed. So I think we've identified 16 homesteads in the neighborhood that are being used as rental properties. So those homesteads are going to be communicated. I've already spoke to the appraisal district, and they will be referred to the appraisal district for action. Okay, any other challenges that need to be addressed? Yes, sir.
Yes, since they are considered a business, do the homes have to comply with the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act?
Kendall, you got that one? We probably do need to address that. That has been brought to our attention. We are going to investigate under what conditions and criteria. As I've done a little bit of research on it, thank you, Mr. Ayers, for sending me some of that data. It does appear that many of these homes might fall into a category of needing to be ADA compliant. So as a city, we are going to make sure that our whatever laws outside of our city short-term rentals need to operate under, that they're in compliance. All right, any other, yes?
Just a couple comments.
Stand up.
And sorry. I've been a homeowner out here since '03, so I'm part of the 8%. But I do have a short-term rental. I'm soon to become, because I'm semi-retired, a part-time resident, but I'll continue to have a short-term rental. One thing, you did post the income, the $625,000. One thing, and she may or may not be here today, you may put Clean Sweep out of business, the maid service over here. If you've ever been over there on a Sunday to watch the laundry come in, and I don't know if she's here today, she's Jamaica Beach resident. A lot of their income comes in from maid service right here. And another thing, I did not realize it till you posted it. I would get with your state rep about expanding what you can use the hotel occupancy tax for instance, a code enforcement officer. I'm a prosecutor in 3 small towns. One I can think of, Wallace. We have a code enforcement officer, our own. He's wonderful. He even gets on tall grass of full-time residents. You need that statute expanded, other ways to spend your money. 2 things, you put up parking and noise. I would say a reasonable statute would be
We're going to talk about solutions.
Oh, okay.
Right now, we're working
Yeah.
on identifying some of the challenges created by
But-
short-term rentals in the
but-
You're
neighborhood.
not listening to us again.
Yeah, but let me
Pardon?
just say, oh,
You're not listening to us again.
yeah,
No,
Yeah.
he's starting to recommend a solution.
but let me just say the two worst renters I have, and I have now a 3-night minimum. I don't have a 2-night minimum. That's bad news. The two worst renters I ever had in all those years, one was a former Jamaica Beach resident, a property owner here. The other worst one, a property manager from Galveston who had to move in for a short period, who left the place a total mess. And in both cases, I had been charged back through Airbnb on their credit card because they left the place a total mess. Other than that, if property vented, then I bet the people through Airbnb, you can be careful. And I have my solutions in here. I won't bring them up right now.
Yeah, we will.
But, okay.
Yes, we are going to listen to solutions. We'll have that opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm not sure if what I'm gonna say is challenges, but it's challenges for me. So we came back from vacation and surprised with the letter of regulating the number of guests. Is that put into a vote to all the homeowners, or were you just decided to do that? Because we encounter higher property tax, so we bought into to rent also and to enjoy. But if we have a high property tax and then we decrease our future income because of the regulated number of guests, what our option is to sell, right? So I'm here to see what is the cost of that regulation of the number of guests. Was it voted by all the homeowners? Thank you.
It was voted on by council, and actually our occupancy allowance is higher than most of the surrounding areas. So we allow more occupants than the majority of folks around us. Yes, Mr. Sala?
I just wanted to, based on the information that I saw here today, that problem is twofold. Problem is you guys and not having things in place that you need to have in order to manage and regulate the properties. Okay? That's a major thing right there. The other thing you can talk about, you mentioned infrastructure, the sewer lines, the water lines. Doesn't matter if it's a short-term rental or if it's a permanent resident. You have so many houses, and that's it. So again, that's management of maintaining the services. Okay? And quite honestly, that's all I have. I have more to say, but
We'll get there. Yes, ma'am?
She's been waiting.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, ma'am? Yes.
David, I have a question for you. I have heard you say on more than one occasion that a short-term rental is a business. And I would like to know where you are getting that information, because there is case law, settled case law, Tar versus Timberwood versus Tar, excuse me, that outlines and clearly defines that it is not a business operating in that home. It may be a business for profit, but the home is not considered the place of business. And that's a real distinction. And if that's changed, I would like to know where you are getting the information that that case law has changed.
No case law.
That,
No, thanks, Debbie, I appreciate it.
Okay, all right.
I really appreciate it. I'll talk real loud, all right? I really appreciate the input. My assumption comes, do you fill out a tax return for that?
Yes, I do,
STR,
but it's
so
on my personal
Does the
tax.
IRS then consider that a business?
They do not.
It's
I understand why you can get that assumption, but if you are making decisions based on the fact that you believe that a business is operating out of that house, that's not a correct assumption. And so you can't, at that point, place business restrictions on that home. And that's what you're trying to do. That is my home, okay? And I don't lose the right as a homeowner simply because I occasionally rent my house. You can't bring in inspections. And if you want to do that all over the city, if you want to come in and look at everybody's house and count how many times the toilet's flushed and all these things, that's fine. But it has to be equal across the board. I understand all of these challenges, and I agree that we are facing some major challenges, but we have resources in this city to, if they will do it. We have people on this council that have allowed this mess to happen. And now you want to put the burden of the solution on the people that are not the problem. The problem is the fact that this community has not addressed any of these challenges for years and we have a police department.
And we are working.
We need to.
That's why
We
we're
need
addressing
to
it now.
address the issues, the core issues, before this council steps up here and decides to take away my rights as a property owner. And some of the things that you're doing are going to take away my rights as a property owner. I want solutions. I am not here to point out trash we all know what the problems are. But I can't understand how what you're wanting to do is going to actually solve the problems when you have not used the resources that the state and our federal government give you to regulate problems in our city. If you
This gentleman put his hand up first.
All right, sorry, I'm a little nervous because I think I'm probably the minority here. This is actually a business for me. Although we do come down in here and stay in it just because we love it here. But when I read all the regulations and as I listened to some of the meeting, I'm from Hawaii, and one of the reasons we left Hawaii is because of all the crazy regulations. Hawaii is very much like California. And we chose to become Texans, not to be stupid, but for this reason, because Texas is just a different society. We think differently, we act differently, we're not socialists and regulators, and you know, I understand because I live in Dallas on a lake, and I live in a vacation area. So I live in an area that allows rentals, but I knew it when I bought it. You know, I chose to live in that area because it was fun and cool, but I understood it was a vacation area. So I get it, but I also knew where I lived. And this is a vacation area. This is why we came down here in the first place. But as I read the rules and as I listened, this is very much proposed to becoming California or Hawaii. And what, and like I said, please look at the information that California's done to their businesses, and then look what's happened to California. Everybody's leaving. These are the exact proposals that California does, and I'm telling you, because I left these areas for this reason and chose Texas. We're Texans, we're not Californians. So,
Okay, how about some more numbers? So Sharon, you had some data up there. I think in 2015 through whatever, there were 68 STR, 68 in 2015. That's when we built our house here in 2015. So there were 68. Now there's 350 registered, 350. And in Jamaica Beach, there are, give or take, about 350 homesteaded homes. So there's as many or more short-term rentals as there are homesteaded permanent residents, and county. So it has to do with David's comment about, I guess, the fabric of our community. I mean, that means that right now, it's wintertime, it's slow season. You drive around, you think, what's everybody talking about? What are all these garbage issues and noise? It's quiet, it's perfect, right? July 4th, or say any weekday during the high season in the summer, late spring, summer, early fall, that means that there are just as many short-term rental occupants, guests, as there are more than permanent residents in the city. The weekend comes, the vacation weekend owners show up, there's a bit of a balance, right? But during the week, with full-time residents here, we're basically outnumbered by, and all these issues that Sharon has listed based on feedback from various people, you know, the noise, the garbage and all that are bigger things, but all the little things about fishing lines and whatnot, it's there, it's continuous. We don't call the police. I just go knock on their door, or I take the lure off my deck, get it out of my boat, throw it across the canal. All those little things add up. Holler at them next door on the group, all those little issues. So during the week, just keep that in mind. In the high season, there are as many or more STR homes that are occupied as residents.
Thank you.
We live on Jamaica Beach Road, and one of my concerns when you have the challenges up here, it's a challenge for the good short-term rentals, and I think the majority of the people are here are good. What we want from the city is to take care of the bad ones. And if we have some if we could get some statistics of, you know, where are all these complaints coming from? Is it just a few homes that are making all of us look bad? You know, where are we with that? Sharon, do you all have some numbers about that?
Yes, our police stats we do track, and we are paying attention. And, you know, unfortunately, there's not, our noise ordinance, we'll get to that when we get into solutions. Our noise ordinance is not the most enforceable ordinance in the world. And also, unfortunately, or fortunately, as law enforcement will tell you, a law enforcement officer cannot be offended. So it takes a complainant. And it's kind of scary to complain on a group of people that are somewhat inebriated. And I mean, I've been cussed out before by just trying to ask one of the renters to respect me and my property. So, you know, that's scary in today's world. You don't know if they have, you know, what else they brought into the home with them. So, yes, we are working on enforcing, working on tightening down. Our police chief will tell you that, you know, they are paying attention, and we are going to be looking at issuing more citations and more issues. So, and finding ways to go after those problem homes. But as Ms. Tabbert pointed out, we are restricted on what we can require. So,
That's my concern, that we have a new code enforcement officer coming in, right?
yes,
And we have all this money, maybe we could hire more of them?
I really can't. It tells me that I can only spend 10% of my revenue on the management of a short-term.
So can you go to Austin and try to get more of that, or how do you do the special provision? If the money's sitting there, it should be used for that reason.
Yes, and it's not always easy to do that.
That's
They
the
have the
job of the
laws
city
for a
council.
reason.
That's the job.
And yes, we are looking at ways we can utilize that money in different ways. Okay, this gentleman up here has had his hand for a while. I'll get to you in just a second. I do see you.
So to use the gentleman's numbers, I agree with him, right? This community, I did the math, 23% of full-time residents, right? That means over 75%. This is not a full-time resident community. This is a weekend resort community. And I feel like come Friday afternoon, I mean, you roll the phones, you can't call, they roll to Galveston County. I just don't think it's managed. I think you could address all these if we managed it properly. And all this would go away, but I really don't think that managing these issues are the point. I think the point is that the current administration doesn't want STRs, and we're just, because I think this could be addressed and fixed if it was properly managed. That's just my opinion.
There was a gentleman in the back.
Yes, the house next to me is owned by a development group. They're there to make money, that they're homeowners. They don't care about who's next door, they don't care about Jamaica Beach, they don't care about their bank account. So where do we distinguish that someone who's a local is trying to rent their house out to make a little money, and the people that are buying more than one house and using it totally as a business?
You're right, and we recognize that there are, yes. When we had 146 short-term rentals in the neighborhood in '21, we didn't have a problem in the city. We had a few problem houses. At 355 short-term rentals in the neighborhood, now we don't just have a few problem houses, we have many problem houses. So what we're looking at is trying to find that sweet spot. We're not saying we don't want short-term renters. We're not saying we want to eliminate the option for future, for existing homeowners to rent in the future. That's something that's been brought forward, and when we get to solutions, we'll talk about that. What we're trying to do is find the right answer between managing and enforcing what we have and looking at how we can maintain our neighborhood moving forward. I think, okay, okay.
So you keep saying this 324, now it's 355. Our record keeping isn't good up until this point. We don't even know how many are not registered until recently. So we don't even know if these numbers are true. Many people are coming to get their permits, many of the reasons why they're here today. So that number that we keep pumping is skewed. We don't really have that many. The number did rise during COVID because people had nowhere to go, and so they came to the beach, and so our numbers were up. Attrition is gonna work through and bring that number back down. So I don't think it's spiraling out of control. The issues need to be addressed, but it's not like this is just gonna keep rising up to like half the community is short-term rentals on a 24/7 basis.
I'll get you in the back in just a minute.
I'm a full-time resident. I built my house to be a full-time resident. There are 7 houses on my block. There are 2 full-time residents. When I built my home, there were 5. There's Two were built strictly for STRs. The others were sold to become STRs. I appreciate you running a business. It is a business. If you file your taxes and you deduct for improvements, that is a business. State law says, and that car business, whatever, was the law was a law about a different type of business. The business, an STR is a business. It's not the house that's the business, it's the cause and effect. The cause and effect. Now, a lot of you are complaining about what the city council has done, what the mayor has done. I'm going to ask you, how many of you filed to become on the city council? We have 3 vacancies coming up. How many of you volunteer to go and be voted on in the, I think it's the April election?
Don't you have to be a permanent resident?
You have to be a permanent resident and live here for 6 months prior to.
We like to, but.
And 75% of the people don't live here. Yeah.
75% of the people. And this gentleman here came up with, there's only 23% of permanent residents. 23% are
Permanent.
Or
permanent.
homestead, yes.
Per GPAD.
Yeah. I mean, that's his number, but he's right. This is not a permanent, this is a vacation.
Okay, we are going to, guys.
We're looking for solutions. We're not looking for problems.
All right,
We
Jerry,
know the
thank
problem.
you.
We want solutions. If anyone stands up and says anything here, I think you should give a solution. Not the problem, we know all the problems.
Jerry, thank you.
She's on challenges. Just to follow up.
Okay, guys, please, we're gonna listen respectfully to all of our input.
Just to follow up, I mentioned statistics. Is that something that you can publish on a monthly basis publicly so that we know what the balance is? Because I think other cities have done that and they
Yeah, we
have
are.
found it's not just STRs, it's homeowners too.
Yes.
So we can't say homeowners are not part of the problem, the full-time ones, but we just need to know where the balance are, where the numbers are. The other thing is, I would like to be able to apply or to be on city council, but not living here full-time disqualifies me. Is there a way we can change that so the city council is balanced and representation?
No, state law on residency for the right to vote and run.
Okay, well, just to say, there's several of us.
Okay, Mr.
Our homeowners.
Yes, I'd like to expand. I think we need to cap the STRs. We haven't talked a lot about safety. Those of you who are on Facebook, you've seen the photos of all of the so-called bedrooms that don't have the proper egress in accordance with fire codes. We've mentioned the American Disabilities Act. I haven't seen any handicap ramps. Cargo lifts are exactly what they are called, cargo lifts. They're not to be used for human beings. That 324, 350, whatever the figure is, I'm really worried about the safety. We've had some fires here recently. It's only going to be a matter of time, and we need to cap it till we can figure out how to control it properly, which we can right now, and I don't think we're going to come up with any solutions where we can go in and inspect these homes and make sure they're compliant with all of the ordinances we have.
come in your house and inspect your
I'm gonna take this back to process, right? Yes, ma'am.
I have a solution.
A solution.
A solution.
Yeah, didn't you tell us that we?
So,
We're gonna do that.
All right,
What we're
this is
doing-
a solution.
What we're doing right now is identifying challenges
And it's
to
a
make sure
challenge.
we have them all captured. So
Can
if
you
you'd
let
like
me
to,
say something?
if you'd like to frame it in the form of some of the challenges that the community is facing.
Our challenge is we need more police force on the weekends, less during the weekdays, when we have more of the part-time people coming in, more of the vacationers. Have that time, police force, when there's more people coming in. It makes sense. I call and the police are gone and it rolls over to the Galveston on the weekends. But they're there during the weekday when there's not very many people.
Yeah, we're gonna.
And I want to stress, you keep saying the 324, but the 288 was even the numbers that were not even active STRs. And now you're adding in the 324 that are the residents that just want to maybe be the vacation place. So you keep saying that 324 is.
This 324 is provided by our trolling tool with identified active listings on the various platforms.
But these are not active. These are the part-time.
They're listing on Airbnb and VRBO.
Not
And
324.
yes, 324. We have 324 active listings on Airbnb, VRBO, and the other platforms.
Since
And
Bailey
currently, as of last week, we have identified 355 because we've had additional folks come in and register.
Okay.
So the 324 is active numbers, both registered and unregistered.
So Bailey is overwhelmed with the influx of the people that wanted to come in with an STR number, just in case they ever want to be one. If they
No, there's not that many.
what was the number on that one?
We've had about 15 people come in seeking new registrations.
There's an influx that she can't get to all of them?
No, the influx she's speaking about is our current registrations were way outdated, not updated, and so the influx is the 324 active listings that have now supplied their registration information. So
I want my police thing.
we will
up
capture it
over.
as a solution. Thank you very much.
Mayor, Mayor, can I speak? Expand that, say just one time. One thing, it sure is good to see you all here. That's what we want. Listen, this thing on enforcement, we need your help. We need, if you see it, say it. We can't enforce it. There's a lot of you, there's just a few police chiefs, few officers. They're dedicated to their work. But if you see it, say it. Call the police. Call the alderman. Call the mayor. Send it to us on the website. We will respond to these things, and we're gearing up to do so. Thank you.
Hang on, I'll get you in just a minute. He's had his hand up for a long time.
Over here that said put a cap on the STRs. At one time, I would have thought that was a good idea when we only had 30 STRs in the neighborhood. But if you're in a house that's surrounded by STRs and you're younger like us and you decide to sell later because the next buyers cannot rent out, I'm more worried what's that going to do to my value of my house if somebody comes in to buy it. That's the reason we bought was we had the potential to rent out even though we never did. But if somebody is looking at those STRs around here, am I going to spend $1 million on a house if I can't rent it out? And do I want to be in that house when I'm surrounded by STRs? So putting a cap on the STRs, I don't know that that's going to be for the homeowners that, you know, we may or may not be going to rent out, but if we do decide to sell, I don't want to be locked in on the new buyers saying, well, we don't want to spend that money on the house because we can't rent it out. That's just something I hope y'all are
Thank you.
As well, I just want to say, first of all, I to put forth for all of us to be able to gather and have an opinion or give a recommendation or a solution or a gripe is the way that things need to be handled. And I know that you probably have caught more flack about all of this, but it's because it has not been addressed and it needs to be addressed. And we need to work together on the chart of this was not looked at, this is where the city wants us, and we've got to meet in the middle. And nobody wants to be California, nobody wants to be Dallas, but we want some control, some regulation, so that we can all enjoy what Jamaica Beach was to all of us who have owned for a long time, and for all of you new people in this area. It is not that hard. You have got to find a compromise. And unfortunately, in today's world, people take that stand on one end or the other, and they're not willing to come together. And so, if you could just get a few people on a committee to keep doing and plugging along at what you guys are trying to do without constant just hitting a wall, we would have this solved in a short amount of time.
Thank you.
It's just not.
Thank
I'm
you.
hearing a lot of rumors that people are afraid to call in on the outrageous STR next to them. Is anybody in this room afraid to call in on an STR that's next to them that's raising all kinds of hell? So these people that might be around, can we come up with a solution so they're not targeted? You know, so these people that are afraid to call in on the STR that are out of line, can we look at a solution on, you know, keeping them confidential? Can they call me? I'll drive over your street and say, they're making
Okay.
Hey, I got
Okay. Hold on, gentleman in the back.
I just want to say I appreciate that the city has picked up this issue. This is terrific. Glad we're addressing it. Thank you. I disagree with the thought that as homeowners, we can make any choice we want, and it's up to the city to curb any bad consequences on my choices. That's not right. We have a responsibility in the community, and to expect the city to clean up our act is not the right attitude.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody said we want to make some small changes, not major changes, and I want to remind y'all, we did just pass a pretty significant short-term rental ordinance that I thought was kind of a good balance of everybody's interest. Hasn't been enforced yet, but we're already seeing people selling bunk beds on Facebook. I know 2 people. Check it, seriously.
Yes.
2 properties that I know went on the market this week because their occupancy has been reduced. The corporate buyers that bought up around one guy back here, you're right, those are coming in with a cap rate, and now they're not gonna get the cap rate, and they don't care about Jamaica Beach, they're gonna be gone. Those houses are going on the market. So this is gonna work. The cap is gonna work slowly. You said this is gonna work slowly. The cap is also gonna work slowly. It's gonna be 10 years before that attrition goes down to 10%. But it's gonna limit your ability if you decide to rent after the fact. And if I kick the bucket next week, do I know my kids will be able to take my permit? Will that be transferable to them? I don't care about my home values. Some of y'all might. I'm not selling my house anytime soon. These are things to think about because I've already got my permits. I really only care to make sure my family can get them if something happens to me. But we started a good ordinance, I think, and also the market's driving a lot of people out because tourism's down. We haven't really given it a chance to play out.
Okay, does anybody else have a specific challenge? Okay, thank you.
I think it's fine that you ask for challenges, but I also think that you are not exactly
If you had all those 355 properties as homestead residents, the challenges would still be the same in terms of sewage and services and infrastructure, but the additional money that the city receives because of the taxes, right, is not received. So you might want to include those. Also, for instance, in terms of the population of Jamaica Beach, it hasn't really changed over the last 20 years or 10 years, right? It's holding steady according to the census, 1,000 people around, more or less, over the years, right? So what has been the real change in terms of residencies, right? Of those 355 properties, has it been just vacant lots or houses? For instance, I can speak to our house. Our house was a house that was not being used. Somebody died, right? The house was run down. I think we did a nice job in fixing the small house that it is, and we use it when we can, but we also rent it out when we can't use it, right? And I think our neighbors, I don't think we're a nuisance to our neighbors, and whenever there's been a problem, we've been contacted and said, hey, these people are making noise, can you deal with them? And we call them and we contact them, and we try to solve that problem with our neighbors whenever that's a problem, right? So I think sure, there are challenges. I think a lot have been mentioned about ways to address those challenges. There are also benefits, and I agree with the lady here that said, let's get together. I think that the short-term rental owners also want to make this work. We also want to be able to have our business here, or to have our house that we enjoy sometimes and also rent it out, right? We don't want to fight with the community. We like Jamaica Beach for a reason. We came here for a reason. We enjoy it when we can, and we want to work together to solve these problems. I can speak for ourselves. We follow the regulations. When you say you have to register, we register. We've been here since 2017. We register our short-term rental. We register now. We submitted I can say, for instance, we're a bit screwed with the occupancy limits because our house has a bit more of square footage than the Galveston HCAT says. And because of the rounding by HCAT, we have one person less, right? So some of those things, we are willing to work with you and make this a thing that everybody can enjoy, and we're not causing additional trouble to the city. But don't just talk about challenges, let's talk about some of the solutions.
I will add a few of your points when we post the presentation on benefits. Yes, one more.
I think one of the biggest challenges, and it goes beyond the short-term rentals, we do not have good data that is comprehensive across the entire Jamaica Beach. And part of that was inherited from the previous administrations. I think time needs to be given to Kendall to get City Hall in order, get all of the systems in order so audits can be completed, enforcement can be tracked, all of that. There are other means of tracking our police department calls, those coming in on short-term rentals, safety, anything. But we need to give Kendall time to clean house, get in order, put in a platform where we can track and report regularly on what's going on in this city. In the meantime, start working together to pursue a solution, bring the short-term committee back, bring in reps from our local real estate people who can give us true stories on what's happening with our home prices, sales, who's really wanting to buy. It's not just short-term rental people, it's people who want to live there full-time and part-time, who want to let it go to their heirs or whatever. We need representation from the fire department regarding safety. We need the police data. We need it from everything. We are pulling data from various sources, but it needs to tell the story of Jamaica Beach. So give Kendall time to get established and clean house, and then we can move forward.
So I have rented Airbnb properties, right? Each house comes with their own house rules, what you can do, no smoking, whatever. But they don't post the community rules in the house. So we have owned property here since 2013. We have short-term rentals all around us. And so I've seen everything from families coming in, hooking up fishing lights so they blast into our house. They have crawfish boil parties and they dump all the crawfish into the canal. They fish and we've got lures all over our deck and our boat. There's rules around this, right? When you're a short-term rental occupant person who comes in, all they want to do is have fun with their family and potentially party, we get that. But they're not privy to the rules of the community. They get a copy of the house rules, but they don't get a copy of the community rules, right? So when we are trying to go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and we're listening to boom, boom, boom with the music that's blasting from the rent house, they're not told that there's ordinances in place that they have to abide by. So who goes out and enforces that? This girl, shut your music off, that's me. Because by the time I'm amped up and I'm not calling the cops, I'm gonna take it in my own hands. But I wish these short-term rental homes would give copies of, hey, you can't just launch your boat at the marina, you have to go get a pass. They don't know this, right? They're not told the rules of the community.
The new ordinance, we're issuing a laminated short-term rental registration, and it has to be posted. We first said the front door and realized we have glass front doors, so now it has to be in a location visible to all guests. There is a QR code on that. With a simple scan of their phone, it takes you to our website, where we now have a documented section that all of the rules and regulations and ordinances, not only are they summarized, because not all of us can read legal language, they are summarized so that the highlights of what you need to do. So between golf cart safety, dog on a leash, noise, all of those summaries and ordinances are now required. So, doesn't mean they're gonna scan it and look at it, just like they don't open the book and read the house rules, but it is available now, and as the homeowner next to a rental, you can at least say, hey, go scan that QR code that's posted, and you can get an overview, or else you might be getting a ticket, right? Yes, Ms. Howard.
I have a challenge and a solution. I've listened to everyone here, and we are such a divided community. Jerry stands up and says, I'm a full-time resident. Somebody else stands up and says, I'm part-time. Somebody else stands up and says, I'm a short-term rental. That is a challenge if we are going to have the kind of community that David has described. We have to work together. I have owned property in Jamaica Beach for 14 years, and I have been active in everything that has happened in this community in the 14 years that I've lived here. I go to council meetings. I have helped get people elected. I have worked. I am a citizen of Jamaica Beach. I am a resident that happens to have a short-term rental. I'm not a bad person. And if we as a community can't figure out how to be good neighbors and stop this division, we can fix all of this if we as a community are just good neighbors to each other. Walk over and talk to your neighbor. Introduce yourself. Invite them over for a drink. You know, the majority of the short-term rentals in our community are owned by people who want to live here eventually. Get to know your neighbor. And if there's a problem with a short-term, with somebody at their house, call them. We can become the community that we all want to be, but we have to stop this division and this pointing fingers, and it's going to tear us apart, and nothing that you legislate is ever going to repair the damage that's being done by people just pointing fingers and complaining. Get involved, get to know your neighbor, and work towards solutions to make our community the way we all want it to be.
Thank you. Okay, this gentleman in the back had his hand up first. That you bring it.
First of all, just these short chairs right here, that's 200 years in Jamaica Beach with My answer, or my question is, the problem is the STR owner is not our neighbor. They don't live every 3 days and don't care about anybody that lives here. So, yeah, we can try and get together and come up with a solution, but the solution is going to have to be control the people that rent your house and live next door to it. You know, see how crappy it is to live next door to it.
First of all, as a homeowner slash STR owner, I wish my house was making as much money as some of y'all's, because mine doesn't rent near that much. I pay, actually, some years paid people to stay in my house when my expenses were given. But I actually talked to Chief Garvey about one of the challenges is that we have so many complaints about noise and drunk people and all this going on, but where is that data? I've asked for 3 months to see where the data is, because is it my house? I mean, if it's my house, I'd sure like to know, but there's no data. I get a little summary every month that says this all happened on 3005. These are the top things that happened. But I know, and I was told that you have that data, and that you have had that data. But I've been to meetings month after month. I drive up or I listen to it online, and I still don't get a police report with what it is. And I want to know, where is the problem? If my house is the problem, I will shut it down. I have no problem with that. I will shut down my rentals for the rest of the time I own that house. I'll never rent it again. But I want to know, where is it in Jamaica Beach that's the problem? Address those people. I wouldn't want to live next to them either.
Okay,
If
and
the there is all of that.
Okay. But the problem we're having.
We are, yes.
The problem we're having is we're next to an STR. The homeowner doesn't give a crap. When we called him, his position is call my rental company. That's the problem. The rental company should do nothing to enforce the ordinances here. And then my next, we have probably over 30 times. They come and they do nothing. Okay, now one other question, is there a way you can make the ordinance?
Please, guys,
The ordinance,
guys, back and forth, please.
the ordinances that you put in place so far, can you make, or can we have something that the renters have to put that in their lease? And have
So,
them sign it?
the new QR code, and that's not currently in our ordinance. You know, as we look at potential solutions for the future and modification of the ordinance, you know, we can, that's what we want to pursue, is things we can do to give everybody the peace and quiet in the neighborhood they need. I'm sorry, there was a gentleman in the back with his hand up before you. I'll address you in just a second, sir.
Madam Mayor, I think that what we're trying to do is decide is, do we need to continue permitting or not continue permitting? Because if we stay down the same road that we're going and continue permitting, then our 30% STRs are going to be up to 60% or 70%. And at some point, the competition is going to be so great that the people who own STRs are going to go out of business anyway. And that's okay with me too. But when you talk about enforcement, that's what we're trying to do now, is gather the information so that we can do enforcement. You have criminal enforcement, you have civil enforcement. Your civil enforcement is going to be from the city sending out citations because you refuse to pay your taxes or you're unregistered. That's enforcement. Law enforcement, disorderly conduct, your loud noise, those type of things. Those require you to be a witness, to go forth to the police. I want you to issue a citation for this. Until these citations and this stuff is documented, there is no data. Okay? Citation is a federal government document. It gets put in a book so we know it's there. We can count them later. But if you go knock on the door, you say, turn your music down, you're too loud, it never happened. Okay, so you've got to be a witness to those complaints. But the big deal is, do we continue permitting or do we stop permitting and let this thing kind of play out?
Thank you. Yes, sir?
So, my name is James Sullivan.
Hang on, give us this. Yes.
I'm a property manager. I've got a property management company up and down Galveston. I'm here because I want to be a good neighbor. One of the challenges I see that I keep hearing is that people don't know who to call. You have my registration information, post it. I am operating here, post it. I manage 16519 Blackbeard. It's bestofthewestgalveston.com. My phone number's on it. If you have a problem, I want to know, because even when we hear the police can't do anything, I sure as hell can. I can revoke a reservation in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I have that ability, but I don't hear from anybody if there's a problem. We've got cameras, but I've got cameras all over the place. Unless we hired somebody to monitor cameras 24/7, we're trying to monitor guests. We would love to hear from you. If you have a problem, but all I'm stating is, if we're out here and we have property management companies, and if they're not willing to stand up, don't property management in Jamaica Beach. If you're having issues with property management companies in particular, get them out. Work with them.
Okay.
I'm here.
Me too.
I'm here. I know you are.
Thank you. And the new ordinance has required updated information, and we've had some pushback to when the owner is that 24-hour contact. They're not really anxious to have that number posted. So we are.
January 12th, you guys did a lot to change it. I'm just gonna stand up real quick. January 12th was a big day. Everything was new, everything was due. So as a property manager, we had to, or I have 11 properties in this community. I was a homeowner, I used to live on Nassau Edge. 2009, I love this community. I raised my kids here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. Why'd you live? Because my kids went to college, and now they didn't walk the beach. They got stung by jellyfish, and they like fresh water. I'm at Canyon Lake, same thing. We have the same issues there, and you've got to understand that we do need to work together. But as a property manager, it is of the utmost importance for me to hear any complaint. And I think, Bill, are you next to Vicki? Do you live next to, are you Bill?
No.
Okay, so I've got neighbors that call me, they have my number. But it wasn't until January 12th that it was required, and I welcome this. I'm thanking God that I'm dropping off new checkout rules, so everybody's got those. I've printed and laminated and putting it on every refrigerator. I've taken all of those rules, put it into the access instructions for all the renters, and said, if you do not read these and share these with all of your guests, you will be paying the fines. They need to understand that, and that is our job as property managers and or STR owners, whoever you are. We need to be cordial to our permanent owners. It's got to be a middle road, and we cannot do this. This is the stupidest thing. 75% of the people are here for vacations. It's a vacation community, so 25%.
No, that's
I
not
love
true.
that you're here.
That's not true.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It
Don't
is
make up a number.
well, you just told me it was 25%. That's why I got it. 23%. So 77.
Didn't say that either.
Permanent renters, permanent owners, permanent people here is. I thought you guys just said that. Yeah, so I'm listening to that. Anyway, my point is, we all want to work together. There are solutions. The first one is implementing those things. My point is, I also work with Pirate Beach community. They did something similar to this where they implemented these rules. These rules were implemented. They have, anyway, they're implementing the rules and we have had no issues since then. Nobody's complaining. They're following the rules. My solutions, and I know we're not on solutions yet, but I've got a whole point. If you just had the decibel meters, go to the police office, police, take a picture, send it to the property manager or the first person on that contact list. Now you've got
a resident?
They have, no, when you call the police, okay, this is my solution. Can I go to
Okay,
solution?
we're gonna do solutions.
Okay,
Thank you.
When we do, I'd like to share my goals.
Jerry, I'm
a
gonna.
full-time resident. I am concerned about my property values. I want them to increase. If you're concerned about your property values, we implement some guidelines And we've all got to work together, like the lady and this lady said, work together to implement them. And then we get a code enforcer to enforce them. If you have, I think a lot of people have neighbors that are STR owners. I don't know if you come down and visit your neighbors. If you visit the neighbors, you go around and say hello to the neighbors. I have, like I said, I have 7 houses on my block. There's only 2 permanent residents on my block now. The rest of them are STRs. I know 2 of the owners.
Okay, we're gonna try to wrap up a few more, yeah, hang on. This lady was first, Mark, I'll get to you in just 1 second. Yes.
I've been in all 3 categories. We bought our house in 2001. We were weekenders. We never rented it out for about the first, 16, 17 years. And then COVID hit, and my husband's business went under, and it's either sell the house or rent it. So we were lucky that started short-term renting it. And my neighbors would call me if something weird happened, like, Donna, they're parking on your front lawn. Then I would call and say, move the damn cars, And I was in Houston. I wasn't here to see it, but luckily we had good relationships with our neighbors. But when we bought this house in 2001, our realtor told us Jamaica Beach is a vacation home community. It's about 20% full-timers. Here we are, how many years later? It's still about 20% full-timers. So when people talk about the fabric of the neighborhood, oh, there used to be so many people that were full-time owners on our street. Maybe on individual streets it was, but the aggregate was 20%, 80% weekenders. Now we are full-time here. And it disturbs me that all this is happening if we want to sell our house. We bought because we're able to rent. And I would not like to limit my audience if I go to sell my house. Thank you.
I want to go on record, I agree with Rob, but I wouldn't want to be impeded from selling my house in the future. I'm a full-time resident because we can't be an STR. I may be dead in 5 years, so we may have to sell our house. And then we'll do it. I would not want to be impeded because it can't be an STR. They're on our street. I really haven't had a lot of issues. When I did, I called them from that hand. Another thing is, I ran into this guy in STR, his kids playing out in the yard. They had the fence closed. And he asked me about the coyotes. He said, what are these dogs that are running loose? I said, those are coyotes. One of them came from 15 feet up here in this gate. There's little dogs, kids playing out there. Those are coyotes. You stay away from them. I think that's a new challenge for us too. It's a problem. Sheep, too many of the coyote rollers installed.
Just like right there, guys, we're going to take just a few more comments because these are really kind of expanding past just challenges, and we're going to move on to solutions.
I just want to make a motion that we apply solutions to the sticker.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I just want to make a motion that we move on to solutions and do the sticker.
Okay, last comment on challenges.
Yeah, just to clarify, I made some comments about 25% are permanent, which implies that the 75% are not. So 25% are permanent, 25% are STR, 23, 25. 50% then are weekenders. They're homeowners, they don't rent their house, and they come on the weekends. There is a difference in most all cases, and I've been a weekender, and there's a difference between a weekender who owns the home, doesn't rent it out, comes on the weekend, than someone who is renting full-time to strangers. There's a difference. A huge difference. And this gentleman here has just told me he's a weekender and doesn't like all the promotion of STRs as well. That's the point. I thought we were in disagreement. We're in agreement. There is a difference. Yeah, we're a vacation community, but we're not a majority rental. One moment. I'm waiting my turn. We just
that's the bad side. The good side is we found it at Jamaica Beach through an STR, so it's kind of a. So, one side of our house, we have weekenders. You know, they come out every month, they own the house, they don't rent it out. The other side is STR group, and we don't know who they are. Different groups come through there, have no clue. I prefer the weekenders, not the STR. They change their face every time they come in. But my neighbors, I know, I'll call them, hey, somebody's around their house. You understand what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. I would like to cap off on it.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move into the solution portion. So at this point, Kendall is gonna lead that discussion, and we have a volunteer to help scribe as well as I'll be capturing some of the items for you guys to see here. So anyway, you ready?
Well, ready or not, I guess I got the mic. So, have people had an opportunity to really see what has been captured on the sheets around the room? I know we had a slide and our screen got tired. That was a sign it would move on. But I'm going to read, first of all, what we have captured here. And as some discussion was taking place, I made a couple of notes of what I perceive to be some challenges. Okay, so the ones that we have captured that were pre-populated, higher property taxes from elevated property values. Do we agree that that's a challenge? I think it probably depends if you're ready to buy or ready to sell, whether or not you think that's a problem.
But any human that buys a home would not want their values to lower in their community, because then you're gonna have it turn negatively. And if you wanna look at some documentation from Palm Springs, I mean, it's happening right now in other areas of the country.
Requires city staff.
Because we can't short-term it, then we have to sell it. So it's a problem, it's a challenge.
Okay, as I didn't see that one. Okay, stress to the infrastructure. We've also captured garbage, trash, parking as an issue, noise as an issue, disrespectful behavior, trespassing and theft, revolving doors, not knowing your neighbor. I think is over there actually.
Yeah, that one's behind.
Frequency of parties. Residents often intervene to ensure safety of the guests, so jumping off the deck, grills, fires on the deck under the house, uncontrolled casting damaging property, unattended fishing pools and lines obstructing waterways, unsafe for swimmers, those types of things. Guests are unaware of canal safety. There's also, was mentioned, the fear of retaliation from renters if they call the police or intervene, and then safety, which I had heard brought up. As I was listening to the discussion, a couple of things that I believe are challenges, and maybe not just STR related. Would you agree communication is a challenge?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's a challenge for my team and I. I've been here just a short time, but I know we try very hard to disseminate information. Obviously there was sweeping changes in the new rules, but I've had call after call to say, when did this happen? I didn't know anything about it. So that's something I would really like to hear some input on, some solutions for how we can better enhance our communication efforts. I heard the lady's comment about police department, and when they call, it rolls over to the county on the weekend. So that was taken as a challenge. And I also heard this, that there seem to be properties that are purely investment properties from the corporations or whatever that are buying up properties that have not even a weekend connection to Jamaica Beach. So I heard that as possibly a challenge, and if it's not, that's fine. But as the discussion was going on, I wrote that down. So as we're set up to do, we're going to take these challenges that we have listed, and we're going to start brainstorming some solutions for that. I'd like to think I'm a pretty smart person. My teammates are pretty smart, but collective groupthink, I think we can come up with some ideas that I encourage out of the box thinking, and we're going to try to group think through some of these. And so we're going to go back to, and I think Barry, he is standing right there. Are you scribing for me, sir?
I'm going to try.
You're going to try.
You'll have to talk loudly.
Well, since I'm going to go off of my list, since you're standing right next to the very first one, I believe that challenge says noise on it, and I'm going to throw out a couple that I heard as you guys were talking. The noise meters, something that police would have with them that would be able to capture decibel levels, and as it's compared to our ordinance.
Then send it to the manager or the person with the first contact.
And that would be sent.
Let me hear it again.
Okay, that so you're saying that once police have identified that there's a noise complaint, she's asking that it would be that information would be sent to the property managers.
I think step one for noise for me as a property manager is the police are called, obviously. So then they are called. Now, just as January 12th, finally you guys have our number directly to call me. Our renters are scared to get evicted. They're scared to hear my voice. I was a teacher for 17 years. I could hear it, whatever. Anyway, so I will just tell them, hey guys, the cops are there. Decibel meter, I have a photo of it. You have exceeded the decibel reading allowed. If they come back, number 2, you're getting a fine of $500.
Yes.
And if you come back again, you're evicted. That's it. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. It's simple. Simple.
What's going to be helpful here is to frame it in a succinct, very succinct way, because we're going to have a lot of stuff up here. And so what Sharon has placed these around the wall, but so that we have not 100, we may end up with that, but I don't think any of us want to be here the whole day. So when you step up, if you can, then what's the headline of the solution?
Mine are 3 strikes, you're out.
What?
That's my headline for that one. 3 strikes, you're out.
But do we all agree on 3 strikes, or do we all?
I think, and I see that as a progressive discipline, and there may be some that don't want to see that many steps, and so that's
And we probably ought to leave the numbers out, because we don't want 4 different ones up here. One is decibel level, 3 strikes you're out. Another solution is 2 strikes you're out. Let's capture the gist of it here.
I'm going to defer to my boss for the next thing.
Sir,
Just 1 second.
He's facilitating.
I would like the mayor and council to work together to revise our current noise ordinance. It's too ambiguous, it's hard to enforce.
That'd be a good start. Sir.
I worked for Fort Bend County for 12 years. Excuse me, the damn decibel thing doesn't work that well. It's a state law. I worked for Sugarland for 4 years, 2002, 2004. They had a city ordinance, 100 feet. It worked. You didn't have to give any warning. You came out, the cop wrote a ticket. Now, most gave a warning. He'd wait about 5 minutes, he came out, wrote a ticket. In Missouri City, I think it was even more restrictive. I think it was 50 feet. Talk to your city attorney. You need something, not where he has to carry a decimal meter.
Okay, so I think, I appreciate it. I think we got it captured as
Okay.
mayor and council modifying.
Revising the-
Revising the noise.
Yeah.
We can't debate each of these as we're going
No.
through.
Right, no, we
Yeah.
just need simple,
My summaries.
sir, I've heard from you all day.
Better way to contact the police.
I think a common thing from all of these, as part of a solution, is communications. That doesn't necessarily go under noise or anything. I hear our property managers want to hear about infractions. I don't know who the hell the property manager is and the STRs around us. But that's, will the police call the?
Communications.
Let me, I'm just gonna jump in here, frame some of these. Communication is this wide. What's the specific communication solution that is being proposed here? Just saying communication, you'll act on it differently than I would act on it. What's,
Police have access to first contact. They have.
She said police have access to first contact people.
police have access to first contact people?
Well, a better way to contact the police, like the lady said on the weekend, they go straight to Galveston.
Yeah, but they call JD, so that's the problem.
Yes, ma'am, right there in the class.
I just want to reiterate that I think we need better communication with the police on those weekends. I have called on Friday night, I have an STR, I have STRs around me, I'm on the beachfront, I've rented beachfront homes in Jamaica Beach for 25 years before I was lucky enough to have one come on the market and buy. So I'm speaking from both angles, but you cannot get a hold of the police on the weekend. By the time you call Galveston Dispatch, they get a hold of Jamaica Beach, they might be back on the canal and way back there. I'm beachfront, they don't get there, so my short solution would be that it would be very nice to have a weekend dispatch or peak season dispatch.
Hire more
just in
police.
Jamaica Beach.
Everybody agrees. Hire more police. I think in summarizing noise, I think we got one potential solution as mayor council to revise the ordinance, and of course that will have additional citizen input and be voted on. And then the other thing I've heard is that we clearly advertise what we now have in our possession, which is the 24-hour contact number. And so that residents have a place to call and police have a place to call. So, and then also additional weekend dispatch. Okay, we're gonna try to get something up on the board on all of this. I didn't order lunch in, so we're going to attempt to speed this up, and we're gonna go on and move next to.
I guess, since Barry's right there, we're going to go to parking. And I think,
Now, on the holding issue, we've had our property here for 22 years. We do have short-term rentals, it's a second family home. We use it in the fall, the winter, and the spring, we rent it out, but we use a management company. All of these things you're talking about, the parking, the noise, the parties, you have a good management company, you don't worry about it. They call them, we encourage our neighbors to call if there's anything out of order. And we've had like one problem. They called the management company, they had it solved in an hour.
and I think communication is
90% of the things you're talking about are solved. I have a good management company, and I don't know if people require it, but we use it.
That parking, did I miss that?
yeah, we're talking straight, right now, consistently about parking, but I think one of the answers is going to be communication across the board on all of these, and tightening restrictions regarding that. But I'm trying to hear some specific solutions about the parking issues that we are seeing.
Only park in the driveway.
This lady's been looking at me right now.
Our neighbors call, if there's parking problem, they call us in Nebraska. They call them also Riceland, which is our building management company. They take care of the car, but the people call us and they handle it immediately.
But that's not, that does work for your instance, but we're looking for some citywide solutions to this, a citywide problem. Ma'am, what is your company?
My name is Mary Ann Renner. My husband and I have owned our property for 30 years. And we have two rental properties. I don't even know the people who own them. So when we call to complain, there is no way to get in touch with the owners. But you're talking about parking. We have been there and they have a party. Nothing's wrong with the party. We've had plenty. 21 vehicles was counted. That's the most. We had up to, but never more than 21 vehicles. Over an entire weekend. Thursday, Friday through Monday. I'm not allowed to park my vehicles, my trailers, or any of those kinds of things any place except on my property. That's a law in Jamaica Beach. Why do the renters get to park theirs 24 hours a day for 5 days?
They won't any longer, starting January 12th, as part of the ordinance. We had to lay it out, there's only going to be parking in the driveway.
So no trailers for barbecue, no trailers for boats, no trailers for anything.
Well, that's a solution right there. That's a solution. That we tighten where the parking is allowed, so that would be a solution. Aaron?
So why don't we put a limitation on the parking to what the driveways can accommodate, and then anything that's beyond that limit, they can put them at the park, right? What's that?
Please. Trying to hear.
Do you have the overflow that they know that they?
Aaron, could you restate that, please?
So whatever they can park in the driveways is what the limitation should be, and anything beyond that, we can offer the park for them to park overflow, so they're not up and down.
Ma'am, your solution? Yes, ma'am, right there in the morning. Thank you.
And make that check.
Aaron, please.
This is a fabulous process that I have seen work. What they're asking for is brainstorming ideas, not personal stories, which are very important to the relevant information. Data is important. Right now, we're just trying to get tidbits of information. Precise. You need a format. How about top 3 under each of these? Former school teacher. 1, 2, 3. We need a precise progress of what happened. Point. That's it. It just needs to be an outline and an idea, not a jump into the pit and start pulling all these things out, or we'll be here till dinner time.
Yeah, we need bullet point solutions, sir. Right behind her, you have your hand.
1, 2, 3.
I got a question, the city, and there may be legalities, but like when storms come in, companies have to register with the city to do business here. Is there a thing in process where any STR is registered with the city, and the city gives them these whatever rules in place, they sign off on it, and we as a community come up with, these 3, where they do, even a private individual knows the rules of the city. There's people sitting there going, they don't know who to call, whatever. Is there a place,
Yeah, our new, the new ordinance.
I don't think the previous, or the long-term people understand what the new short-term rental ordinance really entails. It was very, very, very lengthy. So much detail.
Again, that's communication and explanation.
It was a lot of work, and I think you'll see.
Sir, bullet point solution to the parking problem.
Parking in the driveway on.
Parking in the driveway.
But the issue is, I'm on Beachside, okay? Property is wide. There are properties that park all over on their property. The police can't do anything when the car is parked on the property.
Okay, then can they do that?
So how are you going to enforce that
I don't know, but driveway, limiting it to the driveway is a good way to do that. But when you have a big lot, you can park as many cars as you want on.
Okay,
And
guys,
so
guys,
we're
let's-
looking for the solutions, and
Okay, so
then
what
as we implement this, then we're gonna have to work through the specifics of the legalities of
Okay, but
that.
if you listen to what he just said and you say, what if it's, you take away driveway and say parking on the person's property, but not on the street, no street parking?
No street parking
That might be a
is the
better way to
solution.
determine.
Sir, in the back, oh,
So
again,
determine as no street
Ma'am.
parking.
sir.
On the parking and the noise issue, this lady disagreed with me, and I think she had a great point. This is all these are negatives, but if we had a committee that had both residents, permanent residents, management companies, and someone like me that owns vacation rentals on the team that could address each one of these issues, and on the first couple issues, I think it ought to be mandatory for us as renters to have our phone number on the house, on the outside of the house, we do. And that way, if you have one of these problems, like noise or parking, you can call us with a committee. That way, because as we talked, as a renter, as someone who rents, I pay actually more taxes than someone that lives here.
Okay,
I would
thank
like
you.
to say, and she had a great point, this would fix all these problems.
Ma'am, right here.
One solution, I think, because there is a cap on how many people are in the house, you can calculate the base of how many vehicles you're gonna bring in. So issue a sticker for that state, for
Parking
that
based on capacity.
moment. Let's say they're staying a weekend, they're staying a week, this is your parking, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Please let him provide the answers, and this isn't the time to debate the solutions.
Yeah, we had our neighbor, and we called the police, they had one car showed up, and we thought, oh, great, it's just one person. Well, then they literally, it was a raid, they literally had vans and buses dropping, there was like 60 people within 2 hours in this house, one car parked in the driveway.
Sir.
That's rare.
We can take one more. Yeah, one more. Heavy fines to the property owner, because getting the fine to the renter might not feel the pain in the pocket of the homeowner. So to me, fining the property owner, it will get the
Enhanced fines
of
for
those
parking violations. Yeah. Barry, is garbage trash the one that's next to you?
Yes, it is.
We're gonna move on to the next issue, which is excessive garbage and trash. So I'm looking for specific bullet point solutions to these problems. Ma'am, next to the door, right back there in the back, right behind you first, and then you.
I'm sorry, because I missed the other section. I just wanted to say real quick about like police calls and everything. I'm a no-nonsense, landlord. If the police is called, I have it in my contract, so that's another solution. If you have it in your contract on wherever you're advertising or whenever they rent, I have it, if the police is called, you are out. You are out of it. There's no free time.
Pattern contractual.
So that is a solution. If you have it in their contract that they're
Thank you.
not following the rules, you have the right to say you're
First, we're going to say right back there, I'm tighter contractual obligations, rental contracts, tighter rental contracts. Ma'am, right there in the blue.
How many trash cans does the city give us? They don't give us trash cans, right? We buy our trash. You tell everybody they can have 2 or 4 trash cans. If you have more than that, you have to pay more for a garbage. That, and short-term rentals, if you're there for a week, you can buy an extra, you can buy a garbage.
Very next to be paying for additional collection. Sir in the yellow, I promise you.
Thank you. Going back to what Paula said about how brainstorming works. Brainstorming is not a discussion, it's bullets. So here's my 3 bullet points. Number 1, the city passed this garbage ordinance. I think it's working okay,
I don't think we're there yet, but I think it's getting better. That's number one. Number two, can we go back to Ameriwaste and negotiate